imprison Tartarus, he thought. Two guards waited by the gate. They regarded Prometheus with wary eyes. Who goes there? What's your business? I am the Titan Prometheus, he said with confidence. I'm here to take some prisoners home with me. The guards looked at each other, then back at him. Prometheus, they say you've been imprisoned for all eternity. Well, it looks like they were wrong, Prometheus said. He glared at the two men. Now step aside, I haven't got all day. When the guards did not move, he lowered his voice. For a moment I thought you defied one of the Titans. Surely that is not the case. Even the guards could not miss the unmentioned threat. When given the choice of facing Prometheus' wrath now or Thanatos' ire later, they chose the lesser of two evils. The guards stepped aside and opened the gate. Prometheus stepped into the depths of Tartarus with a grin on his face. As he walked the corridors, he witnessed depressing scenes whenever he peeked through the bars of the cells. One time, he saw the daughters of Danaus with their water buckets as they tried in vain to fill the cracked bathtub that would cleanse them of their sins. Despite the futility, they kept trying, caught in an infinite loop. Another time, poor Ixion spun around on a burning wheel. Prometheus could barely stomach the screams of the ignited man as the flames consumed his flesh. He reached for the door, but reason overpowered his compassion. If he freed Ixion now, the guards would notice from the noise alone. Sorrowful, Prometheus averted his gaze. He could not save everyone. Still, he vowed to try again on his way back. He wandered around to get a feel for the place before formulating a plan. Had he not snatched the Olympian fire without the gods' notice? Breaking out a few mortals should be easy in comparison. While planning his route, he decided that he would first release Tantalus, then Sisyphus, and finally Ixion. He debated whether he should unlock the cell of the Danaids, but his skybark would already be crammed with 4 people, let alone 50. No, releasing the 3 prisoners would have to be enough for now. At Tantalus' cell, an equally morbid display awaited him. Instead of seeing a king, Prometheus looked at a man that reminded him of a skeleton that was wrapped in wrinkled parchment for skin. The poor creature reached for a fruit that hung on the branches of a tree. It looked like he would reach the fruit, but then the branches moved farther up, denying him sustenance. Both the tree and Tantalus stood in a pool of water. Eventually, Tantalus gave up on the food. Instead, he bowed down to cup a handful of water, but before his fingers touched it, the fluid gurgled down cracks in the ground. When all the water was gone, Tantalus stood on a dry salt plain. The jagged edges of the crystals bit into his skin. Enraged, Prometheus shoved his lockpick into the opening. He turned the key as soon as the key bits had gripped the locking mechanism. Prometheus rushed to Tantalus. He passed a flask of water to the withered man, who drained it with greedy gulps. Careful, not so fast, Prometheus said. Tantalus did not heed the warning. Between coughs, he said, Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's all right, Prometheus said. He smiled and picked an apple from the tree. Here, eat something as well. Tantalus devoured the fruit. Prometheus put Tantalus' arm around his shoulder and dragged the weakened man toward the exit. We must leave this place. Come quickly. They walked through the maze-like dungeon, but had to stop every once in a while to avoid patrolling guards. Prometheus' experience as a rogue and trickster came in handy. They reached the next prison door, but before Prometheus could insert his skeleton key, Tantalus held him back. No, not him. Let's go. Come, come. Prometheus frowned. What's the matter? Tantalus pointed at the cell. This Sisyphus. He's a bad man. Prometheus nodded. I know, but so are you. I came to help you regardless. With an unpleasant, whining voice, Tantalus beseeched him. This is different. Please, we must go. No, I won't have it, Prometheus shook his head. I came here to rescue as many mortals as I can. If you don't like that, you can go back to your cell, but I won't abandon anyone. Tantalus whimpered, but did not argue the point further with Prometheus. To his surprise, the door was not locked. What's going on? Prometheus and Tantalus stepped inside of the cell. A vast, barren landscape littered with hills and mountains stood before them. On the peak of many mountains, round boulders rested in precarious states. The slightest touch would cause them to topple and roll down. Prometheus' gaze wandered to a boulder that lay motionless on a plain. He needed a moment to understand what had happened. Apparently, Sisyphus had rolled the boulder up the hill so many times that eventually the boulder had leveled the hill. A voice sounded from the side. "Impressive work, isn't it?" Prometheus and Tantalus turned around to witness the approach of a muscular man with fiery eyes. Tantalus shrank back. "Oh no, he's here! Go! We must go!" Prometheus tried to tell him with a gesture to hold his peace. He addressed the newcomer. "It is very impressive indeed. I heard that Sisyphus is condemned to repeat a mindless, strenuous task that can never be completed." Sisyphus laughed at that. "Initially, that was the intention. Zeus and Thanatos were always jealous of my cunning, but I usually got the better of them. Did you know that I imprisoned the latter during their first attempt to lock me up?" "Yes, yes," Prometheus said. "That is well known and got you into even more trouble in the end. But what is this?" He pointed at the many boulders. "Oh, this!" Sisyphus laughed again and wiped a tear of joy from his eyes. "When faced with an impossible, repetitive task, I simply asked myself if there was any way to complete it. Zeus and Thanatos counted on me pushing the boulder up a mountain and then despairing as it rolled off the peak. For a while, they got their satisfaction as I repeated the same activity over and over again. But then I balanced the initial boulder at the top. Granted, it's not stable, but that wasn't one of the provisions. I completed the task and was free to go." Prometheus looked at the human and his unnerving, eerie, and smug grin. "Then why didn't you leave?" Another mad laugh escaped the man's lips. "Trade in this? For nothing in the world. Only through constant practice, constant repetition, could I achieve such mastery. I'm happy where I am, and—" For the first time he seemed to notice Tantalus. "Wait a moment. Why are you here? Get back to your cell!" Tantalus backed away, but before he could go anywhere, Sisyphus jumped him and put him into a headlock. "I will personally take you back." "Leave him alone," Prometheus said. Sisyphus' head snapped toward Prometheus with the look of a crazy person on his face. "He's a criminal and must serve his term." "Maybe you are a criminal too. Who are you?" Prometheus straightened. "I am the Titan Prometheus." Sisyphus' eyes narrowed. "You mean you're the traitor Prometheus? As far as I know, you were chained to a rock on Earth." "I used to be, but as you can see, I'm here now," Prometheus said. He nodded toward the grappled Tantalus. "Release him." Sisyphus shoved Tantalus to the ground. He dusted off his hands. "All right, Titan, I'll let him go. However, both of you are still not leaving this place." Prometheus snorted. "Who's going to stop us? You?" There was an evil glint in Sisyphus' eyes. Before Prometheus could defend himself, Sisyphus spun around and dropped him with a kick to the head. The stunned Prometheus dropped to the ground. He saw that Tantalus attacked Sisyphus, but a casual punch dropped the weakened man again. As Prometheus tried to get up, a shadow fell over him. He looked up to see Sisyphus' face with that sadistic smile. Sisyphus' fist connected with Prometheus' nose, and the world sank into blackness. When he awoke, someone was dragging Prometheus across the floor by his leg. Prometheus groaned as sharp stones bit into his unprotected skin. He did not wear his coat anymore. His blurry vision focused on Sisyphus, who marched on, heedless of Prometheus' discomfort. "Where is Tantalus?" "Oh, you're awake," Sisyphus said, without even turning around. "I locked him up in his cell." "There is no cell for you, but I devised something else." At their destination, Sisyphus pressed the struggling Prometheus against the face of a rock. Sisyphus twisted Prometheus' arms until they were above the Titan's head. Iron manacles snapped onto Prometheus' wrists. Truly, he was Tartarus bound, but not in the way he had imagined. You Titans and the Olympians are so alike. You're always meddling in mortal affairs. We don't need to be rescued, and we certainly don't care for being patronized. Mankind is doing fine, even without a divine benefactor. Prometheus coughed. What's going to happen to me? Sisyphus regarded him with cold eyes. You're going to serve your term. Ah, there is your warden. Prometheus heard the flapping of wings before he saw the new arrival. His heart sank when he realized that the eagle had returned to torment him for all eternity. The End. Das war's.
Ist natürlich, glaube ich, echt schwierig für Leute, die mit Englisch noch nicht so warm geworden sind oder so.
Ja, das kann wohl sein.
Ja.
Ja, aber ich dachte mir halt, eine griechische Sage neu erzählen.
Auf Englisch, den Deutschen.
Genau.
Hey, alles cool. Ich fand's cool. Also, mir gefällt sowas.
Das ist schön.
Wenn man dann natürlich noch weiß, wer was ist und wer was gemacht hat, von wegen mythologietechnisch und so, dann ist das, glaube ich, auch von Vorteil.
Ja.
Aber, hey, alles gut. Ist ja dein Lesen gewesen, sozusagen. Aber ich befürchte, du kannst die zweite Nummer noch vorstellen, vielleicht, aber lesen ist schwierig, weil.
Genau, ich sehe gerade 20:30 Uhr.
Genau.
Ja, richtig.
Hey,
das
du
war ja
sprichst
auch.
mit deinem Nachfolger, ja. Also von mir aus kannst du dir auch noch 5 Minuten Zeit nehmen, weil ich soll ja für 2 Mädels was vorlesen.
Okay.
Und also kannst du ruhig noch, wenn es halt nicht klappt, klappt es halt nicht. Dann.
Ja, also gut, ich sage nur kurz was dazu, was ich gelesen hätte. Also das ist halt hier das zweite Kapitel aus dem Buch, weil das zweite Kapitel schon fast interessanter ist als das erste. Das war vielleicht strategisch nicht ganz so geschickt geplant. Und in dem Buch geht es halt darum, dass ein Ritter sozusagen des Mordes beschuldigt wird und dann auszieht, um seinen Namen reinzuwaschen. Und da ist immer dieser mysteriöse Zauberer, der da als Widersacher immer wieder auftaucht. Und dann ist da eben die große Selbstfindungsreise. Im Moment auch nur auf Englisch vorhanden, aber die deutsche Version ist in Arbeit.
Ich weiß ja nicht, wo du herkommst. Wo kommst du her?
Aus Düsseldorf.
Das ist ja nicht so weit weg.
Das ist richtig.
Guck mal, wir sind neu. Ich bin froh darüber, wenn Leute Bock haben, hier mit uns was zusammen zu machen und so weiter und so fort. Wenn du Lust hast, nochmal alleine wiederzukommen, wenn die vielleicht auf Deutsch draußen, um das jetzt als Aufhänger zu nehmen zum Beispiel, oder wenn du keine Zeit hast und sagst, Olli, pass mal auf, ich schicke dir das zweite Kapitel zu oder eine andere Geschichte und Olli liest du einfach mal jeden Tag 10 Minuten vor und mal gucken, wie es weitergeht oder was weiß ich nicht was. Oder dann machen wir eine Umfrage online, was die Leute, die zugucken, wissen wollen, wie es weitergeht oder mit wem es weitergeht oder so. Irgendwie so, ich bin für jeden Scheiß zu haben, melde dich einfach an uns. Du weißt ja jetzt wie.
Ja.
Und so. Ich würde mich freuen.
Also auf dem Twitch-Kanal sind die Kontaktdaten vorhanden.
Auch das, ja.
Okay, genau. Ja, also wie gesagt, wenn die deutsche Übersetzung fertig ist, dann komme ich da gerne drauf zurück. Und kann auch nicht mehr lange dauern.
Alles klar.
Ja, vielen Dank, dass ich hier lesen durfte. Hat mich sehr gefreut.
Alles cool. Wie gesagt, 14 Tage ist der Stream noch online. Wir laden ihn aber auch auf YouTube hoch, die nächsten 2, 3, 4 Tage.
Ja,
dann kannst du dir das runterziehen, kannst du dir zurechtschneiden, wie du willst. Kannst du da deine Sache rausziehen.
Perfekt. Ja.
So, ich hole mir jetzt auch was zu trinken, weil ich muss ja jetzt lesen. 28 Stunden.
Ja, sehr gut. So, ich wechsle jetzt